Set to go for another week of racing here at the Stafford Motor Speedway, and Bonssa Tufa, for the first time this year, a regular race program.
Yeah, that just shows how crazy of a year it's been. I mean, we've had so many issues with Mother Nature this season, getting regular Fridays rained out. I can't believe it's taken until the middle of August just to have a regular night where all of our features are regular distance, but I guess better late than never in that regard.
All 5 divisions will be in action on Friday, highlighted by the SK Modifieds coming off their biggest event of the season, and a new winner to the Napa SK 5K and to 2023.
Yeah, Todd Owen, it took a year and a half for him to return to victory lane. We've talked about his consistency. We praised his consistency. It's helped him get his 2 SK Modified championships, but he said it. He wants to go back to victory lane, even though the consistency is nice. Finally got done. The biggest race of the year, his first time. He's competed in all the SK 5Ks up to this point. He finally gets the first one out of the way. Got past Noah Corner with 5 laps to go. Noah had a great run last Friday night. Just came up a bit short despite leading a lot of laps. But yes, Todd Owen on top in the standings, but also on top in victory lane.
We've talked about all the different winners all season long in the SK Modifieds. I think the 31 could be next in Noah Corner.
I don't see why not. He's been pretty fast whenever he doesn't have problems. The problem is he's had a lot of problems this year. Mechanical issues, getting caught up in incidents. But when he has a clean night, it's a good night. He's had a couple top 5s. He's had multiple runner-up finishes over the last few years before trying to get that first win, kind of like Marcello Refrano. He came close multiple times before he finally got done last year. I can see that being the same for Noah.
And final point for the SKs, Jimmy Blewett keeping Todd within arm's reach when looking at the championship standings. Something we're going to look at a bit closer here as we get into the middle of August.
Well, the gap is pretty close, and Jimmy finally returned to the top 5. He hadn't been in the top 5 for 3 races maybe, but that's a long time for that 85 team because they'd been top 5 consistently every Friday night. But a couple incidents over the last 2 races have held them back. Last week he had a bit of a close call with Corey DiMatteo, but bounced back and finished 4th, so a much-needed top 5 run for that team. We'll see if they can get it going for the second half.
That gap just 12 points between Owen and Blewett going into this Friday. In the late models, a new winner. It's been a long time for the driver that visited Napa Victory Lane last Friday night since he was last there.
Michael Ray, same exact streak as Todd Owen.
Yep.
Spring Sizzler 2022. Michael's had an up-and-down year. He had a couple weeks where he was running top 5. Then he had a couple weeks where he got involved in wrecks, including the one in the front stretch where he T-boned Wayne Corey Jr. They got the car put back together, and now he's in victory lane. A much-needed victory for that team because of the downstretch they had beforehand. A good boost of momentum. We'll see what Michael Ray can do here in these next few races. In the big picture, Kevin Gambacorta, our point leader, broken sway bar, or at least a part of the sway bar. That held him back. He finished in the 15th spot, and that closed the points battle significantly because Tom Fern got a podium.
Down to single digits. I believe it was a 30-point swing for Kevin Gambacorta last Friday night because of that broken sway bar. Tom Fern closed the gap with another podium. A very competitive late model field here in 2023. They'll be back in action this Friday night. The SK Lights will be here as well, and it was the Mad Pup back in victory lane last Friday.
What a bounce back for George Bissett Jr. I mean, he started 37th a few races ago, got 4th, and now he's in victory lane with his 2nd win of the year. He's been fast all season, just got to make his way through the field and avoid having any sort of conflicts and whatnot, but he did a great job last Friday night, got his win. Now he's looking to get a 3rd win, and he's trying to find a way to close in on Brian Sullivan, but that's just so hard to do because Sullivan has a big point lead. But a much-needed run for Bissett, a huge confidence booster, a huge momentum booster for that 39 team. I think they're going to be really tough here in these last month and a half, 2 months of the season. I think they got a chip on their shoulder, and they're really going to be tough every week.
Brian Sullivan has a 56-point lead, more than one full race. I think if anybody can close, it is George Bissett. But like you're mentioning, time is beginning to wind down.
And Sullivan, I don't want to jinx it, but he hasn't had trouble all year. And he's pretty good at preventing himself from getting in a bad spot. He usually finds his way quietly through the field and manages to get that top 5. I think he's finished top 10 in every race this season up to this point. So Sullivan, he's a smart racer. He just, when he won the title in 2020, did not find himself in a bad spot. He stayed consistent. It's more of the same this year, but there's still a ways to go.
Which is so hard to do in that division with an upwards of 36, 37 cars starting every week.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, I guess.
Indeed it is. In the limited late models, it was Kevin Cormier back in victory lane for the 4th time this season, but it had been a while.
what, like a couple months at most, maybe a month?
Well, yeah, about 6 weeks.
But they've been so good all year long. And like Bassett, he had to start in the back of the field a couple weeks ago, got a top 5, comes back last Friday and gets the win in pretty commanding fashion. He pulled away from Matt Clement and Jeremy Lavoie, who filled out the podium. Kevin Cormier this year, we can't say enough about how good they have been week in and week out. It's just that one night where he got black flag for the last lap contact. It's why he's set back in points a bit. But every week, he's just one driver that everyone has to try and beat. He has 4 wins this year. It leads the division, but you still got Matt Clement and Jeremy Lavoie who rounded out the podium, and both of them have been really good this year. Clement's got 3 wins. Jeremy's got 2, but he's also our point leader with a decent gap.
And those are the 3 drivers that have kind of stretched it out from the rest of the field. Jeremy Lavoie, the current championship leader, looking for his 3rd limited late model track title. In the street stocks, 3 drivers have won in that division this year, but for the most part, it's been a 2-horse race.
Ryan Waterman and Travis Hydar, and that's what the battle came down to last Friday night. And what a battle! Hydar took the lead from Waterman coming through 3 and 4. Waterman tried the crossover. They had contact. Hydar made a tremendous save coming off the corner to take the white flag, kept it going, had to settle for second. Waterman got the win, a 6-pack. His 6th win of the year. It helps increase his point lead by a whopping 2 more points because Hydar finished second. But that point battle is still really tight because Waterman has the most wins, but Hydar, it just seems like he's able to stay first and second week in, week out. He has, 5 straight races finishing in the top 2. So the 11 team is probably a little more consistent even though Waterman has more wins, but in the end, Waterman still has the point lead.
And Travis Downey, the other winner this year in the street stocks, top 5 in the championship standings, but has a ways to go to catch those 2 in front of him.
He's going to need a lot of good luck and a lot of bad luck for Waterman. Hydar, that's too much to ask for, I think, but you never know what happens.
Those are just some of the storylines in our 5 weekly divisions here at the Speedway heading into this Friday night's race program. All the action gets underway at 6 o'clock, and don't forget, if you can't be here in person, you can tune us in on Flow Racing.